If you love Marie Antoinette and her tragic history, today I'm in the Marais in Paris, at the location of the Temple prison where Marie and her family spent their final desperate year together. The building sadly no longer exists, but what an incredible non-spot to come and visit where so much history happened. The entire royal family was imprisoned here along with King Louis's sister Madame Élisabeth after a mob descended on the Tuileries where they had previously been held. They hadn't been charged with any formal crimes yet, but they were brought and imprisoned in the small tower of the Temple prison here in August of 1792. The prison was ordered destroyed by Napoleon in 1808. And there's nothing left of it. But if you walk up here to the front of this town hall and look at the ground, you can see markers right here in the ground that trace the outline of what was the tower. Right here. So that is what is left of the tower where Marie Antoinette spent about a year in 1792, and she left here in 1793 to go to the conciergerie from where she would go on to be beheaded at the guillotine. The entire family was here in the beginning. Louis was taken from the Temple prison here and executed in January of 1793. Marie would leave in August, and her children and sister-in-law stayed at the Temple prison. Her daughter, the only survivor of this tragedy, Therese, was released from here in December of 1795. Her son Louis Charles died here at the age of 10 on June 8th of 1795. And it's kind of sad that all that's left of that is just these markers on the street. And then we have this beautiful park behind me, which we're going to walk into. This is the Square du Temple. It has a public restroom, park, water faucets, a playground. There are no pets allowed, but we're going to go in and check it out and talk a little bit more about the history of this beautiful spot. This is a beautiful place. You could come bring a picnic lunch if you were up in this area. You can hear the water right here. Lots of stuff still in bloom. You've got tulips and primroses blooming all over Paris right now. This entire enclosure was originally part of a temple enclosure owned by the Knights Templar. They resided here until they were stamped out in 1312, and the temple enclosure became national property during the Revolution, with the tower being a prison until 1808 when it was destroyed. The time the royal family spent here was increasingly unpleasant. Walls nearly 9 feet thick and small windows made the rooms cold and gloomy, described as small, filthy, and inconvenient, and the whole family fell sick while here due to the poor conditions. Originally, they were given a little more consideration. They were given 4 rooms, including a library and study, and they were still served their customary meals and wine with maybe 4 servants attending. They were provided things like soap and board games to pass the time. They still had funds for clothing. Louis was even able to have his shoes ordered from his favorite cobbler. They had access to religious ceremonies and correspondence. They were originally allowed to see each other, and there are accounts of Louis reading to his children and Marie spending her time sewing. But as the madness of the revolution continued, it was here that Marie was forced to see the mangled remains and severed head of her dear friend, the Princess de Lamballe, when it was paraded by a mob outside her window here in 1792. When Louis was taken for execution in January of 1793, he was allowed to visit his family the night before, knowing it was his last night. He promised to come and see them again the next morning, but he was taken straight to the guillotine and did not return, possibly because he couldn't bear to say goodbye to them a second time. Their daughter, Therese, was kept unaware of the fate of her family members until August of 1795. Held here in boredom and solitude until December of that year, with only 2 books for company, she was released on the eve of her 17th birthday and exiled to Austria. These sad words were found scratched on the wall of her room in the tower here.